goes and gets himself arrested this morning. This is obviously very disappointing. Let me tell y'all what happened, because I'm familiar with that. It's a damn shame, but I promise you that's all that happened. I'm willing to bet my check that's all that happened.
He's a good kid. He's a good fighter, a great fighter, actually. He's one of my favorites. Just get your shit together, man. That's it, basically.
He doesn't have the consistency or the staying power to perform at that level consistently. I don't think he likes boxing anymore. He gets himself in trouble. He wants money. It's just, you've got to have a certain type of temperament.
Conor Benn's reputation was already hanging by a thread. His credibility lay in ruins, and StephenASmith wasted no time pointing out what many fans already knew. Chris Eubank Jr. now operates in an entirely different class. Smith made the contrast brutally clear. While Benn sinks deeper into scandal, Eubank Jr. continues to rise as a dangerous, disciplined, and elite.
It antagonizes him and makes him stalk you even more. And on top of it all, he's a great fighter and a great boxer and a power puncher in both hands. You don't stand in front of that, man. You move. You stick, you move, you hug. That's what you do. You grab and hug.
Fighter. Smith praised Eubank as the embodiment of everything boxing should stand for: sharp ring IQ, patience, composure, and knockout power. The comparison couldn't be harsher. Benn, once sold as the fiery son of a legend, now looks like a fighter drowning in disgrace. Eubank, meanwhile, keeps earning respect.
What their statement is actually saying is that we're not sanctioning this fight. There's ongoing conversations with the lawyers and the British Boxing Board of Control. Obviously, we want everyone to be comfortable. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. are aware of all the information.
With every measured professional step of his career. From failed drug tests to police custody, Benn's fall has been spectacular. Every new headline drags both his and his father's legacy deeper into the mud. Even Eddie Hearn, once his most loyal defender, now looks helpless. No amount of spin can polish the wreckage. As Smith and others have pointed out, Benn hasn't been unlucky.
Who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot.
He's been reckless. Scandal after scandal, excuse after excuse. While Eubank Jr. stays clean, focused, and grounded in the grind of the sport. Fans see the contrast clearly. On one side, Chris Eubank Jr., disciplined, composed, and consistent.
Firstly, the guy is not well. Secondly, the guy really should be here. But the fact that he's not involved, the fact that he couldn't take any money, the fact that he couldn't be involved in any decisions, stand in front of the cameras, is making him sick as a parrot.
Consistent. On the other, Benn, chaotic, evasive, and clinging to excuses. The gap between them isn't just wide, it's irreversible. Tony Bellew didn't mince words when asked about a potential Benn versus Eubank Jr. rematch. It's not happening, he declared flatly. According to Bellew, Benn lacks the tools, not the engine, not the mindset, and certainly not the...
In Paddy's shoes, though, you've had 2 warnings. Yeah. You need to be careful, don't you?
You do.
Treading a fine line.
You do, but it's not the head then that comes in. So he's on one final warning for the head, but getting into an exchange in the final punch of the round, he's trying to win the round.
Yeah, impress the judges at the end of the round.
Experience. All Benn brings to the table, he argued, are excuses and controversy. Bellew reminded fans what Eubank brings instead: composure, endurance, and mental toughness. He's proven he can adapt mid-fight, remain calm under pressure, and go the distance with focus and control. Benn, meanwhile, fights like an amateur. Wild swings, no discipline, no structure. He's spent more energy living off his father's name than earning his own. Bellew's verdict was damning. Benn has no business sharing the ring with Eubank. Then came Duke McKenzie, whose words hit harder than any punch. The former world champion called for Benn to surrender his boxing license altogether, an admission of guilt.
He's done. Now, the fact that he's given back his license to the British Boxing Board of Control, who in my opinion are the best governing body in the world, bar none, it's kind of like a proof of admission, certainly. And for him to do what he's done, they're talking about contamination, right? So if you've done it once, then you got caught out, then you do it again. It can't be contamination, can it? Because he's been caught twice for doing the same thing. So, if it was me, take his license away.
He said, twice caught, twice disgraced. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. British fans, McKenzie argued, deserve honesty, not endless tales of contamination and conspiracy. In his view, Benn hasn't just damaged himself. He's tainted his family's proud legacy. Mackenzie didn't stop there. He dismantled Benn's boxing reputation piece by piece, bluntly stating that Benn isn't even a big puncher. At welterweight, his power was exaggerated. At middleweight, especially against someone as durable as Eubank Jr., the idea of a knockout was laughable. Ben, Mackenzie said, fights like an undisciplined amateur, wild, impatient.
Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight. So really, he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight, and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down, just winging the shots over.
And without composure. Conor Benn isn't his father, he concluded. He lacks the skill, patience, and respect needed at the elite level. In stark contrast, Eubank Jr. treats every fight with seriousness and precision, building his craft on patience and mental steel. He fights like a professional and lives like one. Johnny Nelson joined the chorus, calling for an official inquiry into Benn's repeated scandals. How can a fighter fail drug tests, get arrested, and still expect boxing to carry on as if nothing happened? He asked. To Nelson, the issue wasn't just about Benn, it was about the integrity of the entire sport. British boxing, he said, has been stained. And without transparency, the damage will only grow. While Benn...
There needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's what I'm hearing. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it'll be all over the place anyway. But all I can say is he passed the UK one.
Benn generates chaos and excuses. Eubank Jr. quietly trains, sharpens his tools, and respects the craft. The contrast could not be sharper. One fighter begs for sympathy, while the other commands respect through action. Eventually, Eubank Jr. himself spoke, and his words cut to the core. If you fail a drugs test, you don't deserve a 50-50th split. To him, it was simple. Respect in boxing is earned, not handed out. Benn wanted parity at the negotiating table, but Eubank reminded everyone that clean fighters earn what disgraced ones lose. Eubank doesn't just fight clean, he lives clean. That's why fans and peers respect him. Boxing, he said, isn't about promoters pulling strings or fighters dodging accountability.
Fail a drugs test, you don't get 50-50 split.
No. No matter commercial power pulling, no.
You don't get 50-50 split if you fail a drug.
It's about honesty, discipline, and proving yourself in the ring. Benn, having failed tests, avoided responsibility, and now facing arrest, has lost all leverage. No fan, promoter, or sanctioning body will ever see him as Eubank's equal again. Trainer Lee Murder or Malister, as some reports spell it, offered a rare sympathetic take, insisting he didn't believe Benn cheated intentionally. But even that defense exposed the sport's deeper issue. Boxing isn't built on sympathy. It's built on integrity. How many chances can a fighter get before the public stops believing in redemption? Fans keep asking, how many tests can he fail? How many excuses can he make before we stop pretending it's bad luck? This isn't a one-off mistake. It's a repeated pattern that's shredded Benn's credibility. Even Murder admitted feeling sorry for Eddie Hearn, who has backed Benn only to watch him turn into a PR disaster. Instead of headlining arenas for glory, Benn now headlines tabloids for disgrace, and every scandal further bruises British boxing's reputation. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. stands as the example of professionalism. No failed tests.
Personally, I do not think that Conor Benn would have intensely took steroids. And that's just my opinion. He's a young, fit, strong guy. I do not see why he would need to do that. And even moving up weight, I don't see why he would need to do that if he walks about that way anyway. But for me, the key is, like I say, I feel sorry for Eddie Hearn.
No arrests, no excuses. Just hard work, discipline, and results. Carl Frampton summed it up best, speaking for every clean fighter who's ever laced up gloves. From day one, fighters are told you are responsible for what goes into your body. That's boxing 101. That single truth now defines the divide between two men. One, a disciplined warrior earning respect. The other, a fallen name drowning in his own excuses. Excuses about contamination don't fly anymore. For Carl Frampton, Conor Benn's shortcuts weren't accidents. They were choices. And those choices stained his career, his father's legacy, and the integrity of the sport itself. Chris Eubank Jr., on the other hand, represents the opposite path. Hard work, mental discipline, and clean preparation. Frampton's words stripped away the last of Benn's excuses. His credibility is gone, and no amount of PR spin can bring it back. Frank Warren, never one to hold back, delivered his verdict with trademark bluntness. The Benn versus Eubank Jr. fight, he said, was doomed from the start. Why? Because Benn turned what should have been a...
We've heard that scenario before where someone says they were spiked with performance-enhancing drugs, which it doesn't sit well with me and it doesn't really fly with me. But I know what I'm taking. I'm not taking stuff off other people, and it's been drilled into me since day one as an amateur. We had certain supplements like multivitamins I could take, and we couldn't take certain protein powders and stuff. It was really
blockbuster event into a legal and reputational circus. Failed drug tests, endless appeals, and now an arrest. The chaos overshadowed everything. Instead of a fight camp, fans got courtrooms. Instead of a showdown, they got a scandal. Warren's frustration echoed the fans' disappointment. Everyone wanted the fight, but it died before it ever lived, all because of Benn's self-inflicted downfall. At this point, the story writes itself. On one side stands Chris Eubank Jr., disciplined, professional, and respected. On the other, Conor Benn, mired in failed tests, arrests, and excuses. Fans aren't asking whether Benn deserves redemption anymore. They're asking if he even deserves a license. As Benn's career crumbles, Eubank's reputation soars. His rise is built on focus, composure, and credibility. If Benn ever dared to step into the ring with him now, the result would feel inevitable. Humiliation inside the ropes to match the humiliation outside of them. Boxing has always been about legacy. Conor Benn's lies and ruins, while Chris Eubank Jr. East shines brighter than ever. StephenASmith said it best. Eubank operates on a higher standard. And
penny drop that the fight could never go forward. And some of the stuff that's come out since about people being, the board being sued and something, and so forth, is just a non-runner.
Fans feel insulted hearing Benn's name mentioned alongside his. One man embodies discipline, the other chaos. The question now is simple. Are you backing Chris Eubank Jr., the professional who carries himself with honor? Or do you still believe Conor Benn can somehow salvage his shattered reputation? The verdict is in. Eubank rises.